Yeah, so that's the overseas. Just a couple of examples. UK-wise, we've got the traditional orchards, where we're mapping them all because it's a really declining habitat and it's brilliant for lots of different wildlife. And that's really suffered because of the intensification with the spraying and everything else, so people want as much as they can get into a small space. And also the cheap imports from New Zealand and elsewhere, people buying apples and people not being aware what the impact of buying local really does, not just to the people but also to the environment. Another project we've got is hedgerows for dormice. So in areas where the endangered hazel dormice are, we're looking at how to connect woodland together so there's not isolated populations. Stag beetles is another one of our things, and London is a really big hotspot for stag beetles. So where you think there's not much wildlife in the city, stag beetles really thrive. And it's a great way to get people who are not necessarily used to wildlife really into it, especially if they can see them when we take them to shows and they see the larvae that like 7 years old and massive like widgety grubs. And we just encourage people really to keep dead wood around and look after the gardens in a way that will help certain things. Another project that we're really coming up is hedgehogs, because hedgehogs, everyone kind of knows them, but children these days are not seeing them. There's been a 50% decline over the last decade in some areas, which is really shocking because if you think in another decade, there's, how many is it going to be then? So we're really trying to encourage people just to do wildlife-friendly gardening, just be aware of things. Like the listening, once you're aware of it, you can do something about it. Dormice is another thing we do. We run big surveys on dormice throughout England and Wales. We get volunteer groups to see how they're faring because they've been declining year on year. Basically, they were really common in Victorian times and now there's very few left. So yeah, a lot of it is surveys, so people can get involved, because if we don't do surveys and find out where these creatures are living, where the habitats are, then we don't know what to work from. We need some information and then we can go and help. And that's where we need the public, we need people. There's no way we'd ever have the manpower just alone to pay people to go out and do things. We need en masse everybody to tell us, have you seen a hedgehog this week? Do you know of an orchard that might need a bit of help? Or have you got a hedgerow that we can give you some money to help you plant it? We need to know the information so we can start helping. And basically, with everyone's help, we can make a difference. Whether it's time or money you could donate, it all makes a really big difference to the wildlife.